seated. We are in the time between the celebration of Juneteenth and Independence Day. These two holidays bookend the time when we consider our freedoms. The new federal holiday called Juneteenth celebrates and remembers the last slaves in the United States to receive word that they were free. This freedom came from President Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation, and it was announced on the island of Galveston, Texas, 2 years after the proclamation was signed. You are free. That was the message. In our day, Miss Opal Lee, known as the grandmother of Juneteenth, calls us to celebrate freedom from June 19th to July 4th. Freedom. Independence Day, of course, celebrates our separation from Great Britain and the establishment of freedom in North America. The United States designed and developed around those profound words of the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the assumption upon which our republic has been created. Through the years, we realize that these words apply to all. And now we would say all people are created equal. We all remember this well. And it makes us stir with pride and sadness that these are our founding principles. Pride because of the simplicity, the beauty, and power of these words. Sadness because we are still trying to understand how to live into the promise that these words provide. It's from these words that hope motivates so that so many come to our borders. Freedom. Today, St. Paul writes about freedom and our true calling. He connects our freedom as individuals to Christ. It is Christ who provides the freedom which comes through in Mr. Jefferson's stirring words. Paul tells us to stand firm so that slavery never returns. We are called to freedom. Now we must take to heart what Paul tells us, that we do not use freedom as an opportunity for self-indulgence, but through love become the slaves to one another. The Greek word for slave is doulete. It is a verb translated means serve as a slave. Through love become slaves to one another. We are the servants of all those around us. We are to serve. We don't give in to self-centeredness. We don't give in to our self-indulgence. We look to see how we can help one another. When my daughter used the service of a midwife when giving birth to our grandchildren, she was continuing a family custom, as Mary Chris had the assistance of midwives for our children's birth. What changed between our children and our grandchildren in that process? It was the presence of the doula. The doula is a person who is at the call of the woman giving birth. And the name comes from this word in Paul's writing today. They are dedicated to providing anything that she needs. They are to be servants, assisting the woman in the process of giving birth by providing anything to anything that is requested. This is the type of service to which we are called. We are to serve others by providing for their needs. To do this, Christ has given us true freedom. Now, when I say we abandon our self-centeredness and embrace the leading of the Holy Spirit, I mean the comparison which Paul has given us. We abandon the works of the flesh. The works of the flesh. It sounds like it should be a list of sexual misconduct. These actions are on the list, but there's others there too. Quarrels, dissensions, and factions. All these words are synonyms for the tribalism that has become so popular in our society. I think of the Facebook arguments, which just call people to argue endlessly between competing points of view. And it's from this intensity that violence, hatred, and suffering come into our communities. The words of the work of the flesh are based on our self-centeredness and our self-indulgence. The fruit of the Spirit is the other list in Paul's reading. It calls us to lead lives that express patience, peace, kindness, generosity, gentleness, and self-control. Stay calm and get along with one another. Look for ways to serve each other. We've forgotten that being kind to another does not affect the position we have taken in a disagreement. As we find ideas and positions where we are compatible, we can make new friends. It is helpful to take the posture of gratitude and teachability as we are grateful for those with whom we engage. The fruit of the Spirit grows within us. When we realize that we don't know everything, we can allow ourselves to understand others by listening to them. The gospel today occurs after the transfiguration, a turning point for Jesus. We read that he sets his face to Jerusalem. It is a moment of clarity for Jesus. Through it, he realizes that his destiny is the cross, and to get there, he must go to Jerusalem. The way to Jerusalem passes through Samaria. Typically, the Jews in Israel during this time would avoid Samaria and take the longer route from the northern part of the country to Jerusalem in the south. Jesus chooses to go through Samaria, and his whole entourage accompanies him. This includes the 12 and the others who follow them. James and John speak up when the people of this Samaritan village reject Jesus and his message. Jesus gave these two brothers the nickname Sons of Thunder. These two frequently discuss who's going to be the greatest. They're the kind of people who think out loud and say things without much thought. And this incident is an example. The people Jesus meets do not accept him. James and John ask if they should punish them. They say, "Lord, do you want us to command fire to come down from heaven and consume them?" Jesus rebukes them. Now, the author of this story doesn't tell us what Jesus said, but one can imagine the exasperation that Jesus must have felt. Fire in heaven to consume them? It's not compatible with the message of love that Jesus has been teaching. It comes from human intolerance. After this, Jesus encounters three people who have interest in following him. He explains to the first that there are few comforts in his lifestyle. The second wants to follow, but has duties to perform. The third one wants to follow, but first wants to say goodbye. The attitude and expression that Jesus used to respond to these people seems abrupt. He may have read more into their comments and realized that they were hanging on to their previous lives. To us, this all sounds reasonable. Wanting to understand where they would sleep, burying the dead, and saying goodbye to family. Jesus wants a commitment that does not look back. There's an old story about the Spaniards coming to Mexico. In 1519, Cortez and his men arrived in Mexico, and when they did, he told his men to set the ships on fire and destroy them. Cortez was making a dramatic point. They were staying and not returning on those ships. It established a commitment to his men that they were staying in Mexico and there was no way back to Spain and their previous homes. Cortez is saying, we are all in. Jesus, in his response, tells these people that he wants them to be all in with him, and that what they are asking will change their lives. The abruptness that we hear from Jesus is telling us to go forward with Jesus. Why not? But going forward, there is no going back. The lessons bring together two ideas: Jesus' desire for a full commitment and Paul's description of the fruit of the Spirit. Both are achieved through the freedom Christ has provided. The freedom to act in ways that demonstrate God's love for all. Working with others and serving them is demanding work. When we commit fully to work for others and put all our passion into it, the fruit grows. It is from the experiences of serving others that we discover how to use our freedom to grow our faith and find our true selves. This is being led by the Spirit. As we continue thinking about our freedom in our society, let us realize that freedom is not license to act in ways that lead away from who we truly are, but strength to work hard at the commitment to serve others and to produce love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. The fruit of the Spirit. There is no law against such things. Amen.